Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. Welcome again to another Back to Basics Practice Management. I'm your host, Sharon Johnson, and our topic for today is physician marketing, outreach campaigns, and relationship to practice growth. So I'm excited to have our subject matter expert today, Margherita Amplo. She is the president CEO of MCA Consulting Services, LLC. Let me give you a brief background about Margherita. Margherita is a seasoned business professional with more than 20 years of experience in enterprise software sales, marketing, business development, account management, and leadership, with a passion in the healthcare and technology industries. Her areas of expertise include expanding existing customer relationships for small and mid sized organizations by providing several sales, marketing, and business development services, as well as effectively building extraordinary relationships and fostering strong partnerships with senior executives. In 2017, she decided to start her own agency in working with small, mid sized organizations with their sales marketing strategies. Her extensive background includes holding various roles of prestigious organizations such as Siemens, Healthineers, and SAP America. Margarita earned her bachelor's degree in international business at Widener University. She enjoys the culinary arts and traveling with her family. She is a volunteer ambassador for Unite for Her, working on helping to expand the footprint of the nonprofit organization nationally. She's also passionate on raising awareness and funds of metastatic breast cancer through MetaViver research. So without further ado, I am excited to have as our guest Margherita Amplo. Hi, Margherita. How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. So let's start with our discussion about physician marketing.
Mhm.
And, give us a brief description about what that means. What is physician marketing, in the vein of outreach and practice growth?
Well, primarily, it'll pretty much refer to the different types of strategies and techniques that an organization will use, by healthcare professionals and clinics and so forth, that will help promote their specific services. And of course, attract new patients and build relationships with existing patients.
So, with that type of work that you just said, so how can physician marketing help grow their practice? So you mentioned strategies and so on. And before we go forward, anyone in our audience, if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. We will take a look at that and answer your questions along the way. So go right ahead.
Yeah, sure. So there are many different types of marketing that you could do as a physician. We do live in a digital world, so online presence is a necessity for sure. Making sure that you utilize search engine optimization, known as SEO, that's very important as well. Any type of online advertising, make sure you're online, because that's where people are finding everyone. I know, for my experience as well, whenever you're introduced to a physician, the first thing I do is Google them and find out who they are, where they're located, how many Google stars they have, and all that stuff. So make sure that you have that online presence. It doesn't have to be anything significant, but you need to have people be able to find you and know where you're at.
And that's really important. You bring a good point. I think most of us now, in the advent of the internet and whatnot, we are certainly searching just about everything, right from soup to nuts as a consumer. And I think we also research. And just to your point, I want to go see a physician. I want to check out, a location. hours and also information about the practice.
Mhm.
Like you said, also reviews, anything like that. I think we're all, key to that at this point, and not just for consumer products. I feel like that's kind of moved into the healthcare space of an online presence.
Right.
Now with that, what is the best strategy or tips that, from a playbook perspective of, is there anything aside from just digital presence? Is there any other sort of a multi approach besides digital presence? And, I might be dating myself, the postcards or mail, and is still in existence that, the whole envelope with the stamps and whatnot
Right.
is,
Right.
and of course, we have our email that we receive daily, but I don't know if that's also part of a strategy.
Yeah, so I mean, we have to remember that, with the physicians, you're trying to attract both the younger crowd and, people that are more mature. And everybody relates in different ways. So, everyone says go online, be online, but not everybody's online. So, the traditional marketing of doing postcards, sending out postcards, do mailers, do email blast, things like that is very important because you're trying to reach different types of people. And at MCA Consulting, we use a multi-touch approach. So whether it be, we do email marketing, we do cold calling, believe it or not, we do it, as well as doing postcards, and of course, online, the social media management type of, planning those social media touches, so many a week. So we do a little bit of everything, and the multi-touch approach, it works for us and for our clients because, like I said, people get really busy in their lives, and if you're just on social media, many people have said to me, "Oh, yeah, I saw that you had that post on there, but I meant to call you, but I didn't have a chance." So if you're
Right.
sending out posts on social media and then you follow up with a postcard, a physical, postcard,
Hmm. Hmm.
they're more likely gonna be like, "Oh, okay, let me put this here. I'm gonna put that on my to-do for today and reach out to you." So, making sure that you're hitting your audience in different ways is very important, not only from, who you're trying to target, it's how people want to interact. I have clients that want to just interact via text. Others want to interact email. Some of them want Zoom. So you have to, cater to all of those prospects that you have. And I think the multi-touch um, program that we offer is definitely going to help you in that area because it takes so many touches to reach people nowadays. I think it's up to 18 right now with the new
Wow.
we have. When I first started my career, it was 8. Now we're up to 18. So it's
Wow.
important. I mean, in order for somebody to actually respond to you. So
Mhm.
in this digital crazy world that we live in, it gets busy, and you don't know how many times with me just following up with a phone call, they say, "Oh, Margherita, thanks so much for calling me. You were on my to-do list. I just haven't gotten to you yet." So, make sure that you utilize all the different resources out there for sure.
And I like that. I like the approach that you have. It touches, but wow, I'm just like amazed at the touch points now have increased from 8 to 18. Wow.
Mhm.
So that tells us that a one time to 8 times is not any sufficiency, but you actually have to reach up to a certain 18 to even kind of get the
Right.
response that you're looking for,
Right.
or
So
right.
don't give up. I mean, we've got, different programs our clients do. I have one client that does things quarterly, sends out mailers quarterly. So, they're not going to call you the first time. They're not going to contact you the first time. So whether it be after that third mailer or after three mailers, a phone call, and five emails, they'll get back to you. So, and it's true. It's like people really have a good intention of wanting to connect with you. It's just time doesn't allow it. So yeah, I mean, it's been very successful for us and for our clients, and I definitely, feel that physicians should definitely utilize that type of strategy.
Now, with digital presence, and let's go back to that.
Hmm.
Could that be an educational topic? Could that be, and how long should it be? And what's the frequency in terms of a touch point? From an educational stance.
Right. I mean, typically, they say you could do something socially, whether it be like a social post or something daily. But again, I think it depends on your practice and what you're offering. So for physicians, three times a week, I think is sufficient. Um, and you just mix it all up. Like you said, education is important. People want to be educated online. So a quick 30-second clip on something specific, whether you're focusing on, say, skin cancer, some tips on how to protect yourself from skin cancer, and then on a weekly basis, if you go ahead and schedule three for the week, you could have different days, so Monday, Wednesday, Friday, for instance. So Monday could be the tip of the day. Monday, Monday tips, and then you could have all educational type of information going out that day, whether it be a blog or whether it be a quick video, and use a little bit of both. Don't stick to one, because like I said, your audience, they're all different. So somebody might react better to a quick 30-second video than a huge blog that they have to actually sit and read. you know,
Right.
um, so do a little bit of both, and then say, Wednesdays, just say, any specials you're having and your whatever it is that you're offering. And then Fridays, maybe just wellness days, taking care of yourself. So just have themes, and that seems to work with our clients. We even do monthly themes. We do monthly themes, and then we just go ahead and do posts and blogs and videos based on the theme of the month. So people like to see that, and that also keeps you grounded as far as like what it is that you're presenting, and then you could measure all of these outreaches and see like what's working with your audience. What works, what doesn't work, and then you switch it up.
So I like what I've heard so far, that it sounds like you can build it up in 3 days, right? So for example, if you are having an education, then you can dovetail that with like a blog, for example, or a tips. And then you can also dovetail that if you happen to have a newsletter, that sounds like,
Right,
you can
right,
you
right.
can build off of that, and it's kind of like a top of mind and top of presence, because
Mhm.
Monday could have been, here's your educational topic. Oh, by the way, on Wednesday, I now have this, written format of it. And perhaps, if they're having, like you said, a special of some sort, that, they can send that out in postcards or some kind of a mailers to keep the topic going, and can kind of, uh, top of mind. So like you mentioned about skin cancer, summer's coming, right? So now we're, to the
Mhm.
beach time and things like that. And, what are
Right.
some of the tips and things that you can do to, make sure that you have, sunscreen and whatnot and so on. Again, I'm just sort of making this up in terms of that, but
Right,
I think that
right.
sounds like a nice little build up. And is that also sort of cyclical? Could we, like, for that particular month, but maybe sometime down the line, it could also be another, a repeat performance? Is that
Oh, yeah.
something that can be done? Okay.
For sure. I mean, we're big at, reposting and, you know, reusing your content, and different ways and formats of doing that. So you could have that theme of skin cancer prevention, and then, highlight it this month, and then say a few months down the line, do something else with it. So repurposing your content is very important, because that way you're not constantly having to come up with something new. And especially if it works and you
Right.
know that it's resonating with people, why not, make it bigger? So say you had a couple, a quick 30-second video that you did, and then a blog that you did, and you saw that it had a really great response. Well, then maybe 3 months down the line, why don't you do a webcast, a podcast talking about it? Repurpose it and see what works and what doesn't work.
I also heard that, so I like that approach as well. The other part, I think I listened in terms of measure. So I heard, data and measure. And so, I think we are
Mhm.
all data driven to the extent of how we can utilize that data.
Right.
So what are the most important, let's just pick one, in terms of data. And you mentioned about, a particular topic that went well. So let's go back to your example. That went well. We now purposing it to a webcast, and then or maybe you do an in-person sometimes, right, coming off of that maybe
Right.
you're affiliated to a hospital, perhaps you could do a grand round or something in the way of like a talk or even like a community talk, right,
Right.
stemming from that. So my question in terms of that is that, from a data and measure, how often should you look at that? And then working with you, like what, when it is at a time frame to go to say, hey Margarita, let's come to the table. I want to take a look at, how are things going with our multi approach, and then, what is our, next strategy for the following months, or a couple months, things like that.
So through our services, we provide reports that we can utilize to make, any type of changes that we need to do. So we review those reports with our clients on a monthly basis. So we, sit down with you, whether it be a Zoom or, in person, and we say, okay, well, this is what we did last month. These are the results. As long as you're going up and up and up, you're fine. So if you're seeing a trend going down, then you have to make those changes sooner than later. And then, marketing isn't always, set in stone. If you're working on something and it's not working, change it. Why do you have to stick with the game plan, all year long, the monthly checkpoints. So we could review month to month and look at the trends on how you're doing. If we need to make a change, we'll make it quickly as opposed to waiting. But if we're seeing that you're doing well and everything's looking good, and things are going higher and higher, you're getting a lot of views, you're getting a lot of engagements, then we're doing something right. And then eventually those opportunities, those leads will come through. And then, people also have a misconception of, oh, well, how many leads am I going to get by putting stuff out there on social media? It's not the leads. It's your reputation. It's your brand. It's getting yourself out there in front of everyone and differentiating yourself from your competitors. Yes, at the end of the day, we all want more opportunities. We want more patients to have, and so forth. But you have to start with, building up your brand, and that's what you do, by, utilizing social media and those other multi-touch points that we discussed.
And that is so important. I'm glad you brought that up, because I think in healthcare sometimes, brand, I feel, is still somewhat of a relatively new concept in the way of thinking about, your physician practice or your name or your, that has a branding, right? And so I think it's just, that's very important. I agree, that, that is going to speak in terms of your reputation, in terms of what you're putting out, in that content. And yes, there are certainly competitors out there in the field that, there are, competing in the same patient pool, if you will. And so
Yeah.
that I agree. I think there's a bit of a differentiation, but if we think about, what the practice and what, physicians and in terms of their group and, what their main goal has been, marketing is something that I still feel is relatively nuanced in the way, but I think that there are some adopters in the way of how they're doing this, right? As you're working with them in the understanding that this is, promoting yourself in your practice
Right,
and
right.
speaking to what goes on well and how we are providing quality care with the patient. I love all the touch points that you've done. I mean, they are, I think if for lack of a better word that I have at the moment, it's like, you're having the foundational steps. Like these are, your foundations and you can build upon your foundations. And I think depending on your goal, I imagine that, what they want to do coming out of those leads,
Mhm.
converting those leads and then continuing with their presence in various multi-channel aspects, which I think is what I'm hearing is the essential foundation that you should have in terms of your playbook and outreach. Is that a good summation in terms of what our conversation is?
Yes, perfect, perfect. Yes.
So how do we get in touch with you? What's your process? If you're going to meet with, I'm a practice, I'm interested, I'm hearing, today, I want to get in touch with you. I either, I'm new, I don't know, I need to kind of build this up, or I'm existing, but I'm still kind of like wobbly over different things and I need to have, put some things in place. So what's
Sure.
that look like?
Yeah, so just go ahead on our website at mcacs.us, and you could go ahead right on our website. Well, actually, that's my email address, Margherita at mcacs.us. But if you just go on to our website directly, and you'll have the link below as well. You can go ahead and just click to schedule a meeting with me, and we could
Mhm.
do a free 60-minute consultation to
Okay.
just to learn more about your practice, where you're at now, where you want to be, how much do you want to grow, and then we adjust the game plan depending on your finances and your bandwidth and so forth. So there's a lot of different things in play, and I customize and tailor to all of my clients. No, there's no one set in stone, what you do. It depends on your practice, what you're doing and how you want to grow. And of course, your budget for sure. So just go ahead and schedule some time with me on my calendar, and be happy to review and learn about your business and how we could help each other.
I like that. The customization, particularly since each practice is not the same size and scope. I often say that, in any transformational work or anything that you would be doing operationally, practices vary from small to
Mhm.
large and what
Right.
their goals are, and also in the frame of what are they trying, how they're trying to grow and where they're trying to grow.
Right.
So that I like that approach. I think that is so valuable to have that one-to-one and being able to do a deep dive as far as their goals and how they want to take, their outreach campaigns and their marketing with the practice. You mentioned budget, and I know that budgets can vary in many ways, but I do think that operationally, I think marketing is one of those things that is essential to your practice. I think that that goes alongside with other operational things. Would you consider that something that should be built into the budget as an annual, just like anything else, we have our bills to pay, we have
Right.
our vendors, we have, all these things. And granted, patient care is important, no doubt, but all the other, business things had to run the part of the practice. I feel like that also needs to be like number two, and wherever they're
Exactly, right.
ranking.
You definitely have to have a marketing budget, and everyone's different, depending on the size of your practice. So, that includes everything. It includes, the CRM that you're using. It includes, how much you allot for, hiring somebody to do the marketing for you, all of that. So definitely, we can help you and sit down with you and figure out what's best for you.
Great. So I just to recap, I just because we're coming to a close soon, I just want to make sure that we did, your process is that we can schedule with you. I'm going to make sure I put that at the end of this session, your
Mhm.
information. They can speak with you. You get a 60 minutes consultation, free consultation, and then from there, uh, if we want to move forward, then it would be, a one-to-one, and you're, having that discussion of where their goals, how they want to grow, and then there's some customization, and there's also touch points along the way. And touch points are very important. So I really like that you get to speak with them and know kind of where their thoughts are. Things change, in landscape and healthcare. So having to be in the pulse of kind of where their data and data points and how they're measuring, that's also
Mhm.
equally important. So all of good stuff, Margherita. I think this is
Yeah.
going to be one of those things that, in marketing, they're learning kind of, how we want to get our brand out
Mhm.
there, sustain the reputation, and then continue with, growing their practice.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm just checking the chat. I didn't see any other questions thus far, but all of this content is really, I'm so grateful that you came. I hope that we can come back again for, another session. Maybe we should target somewhat of a specific one of how we do a digital, or what can we do to, enhance a newsletter or blog, for example. Maybe
Mhm.
focus on that, and then, give an example of what that looks like, for a practice and whatnot.
Yeah, I would like that. That would be great.
Perfect. All
Mhm.
right. Well, we're good to go. I hope you have a great week. Thank you again for our guests, and
Thank you.
look forward to another session with you, and expanding more on physician marketing and outreach campaigns.
Thank you.